All right, here we go. Live on a Friday night, Cofield and Company late night happy hour. Q is with us. JVT is with us. We'll intro you to Q Myers in just a couple seconds, as those guys are going to be retweeting, sending out all the links. I'll just tell you a little bit about what I know of Q. So he's going to be joining the team at Lotus Broadcasting. He's going to be doing a 2 to 4 show every day with Scott, Silver and Black today. That's going to be over on our brand new Raider station. See the hat, right? Cheesy hat. Raider Nation Radio. That launches on Monday morning. We got a whole lineup, 4 Raiders-centric shows throughout the day. You got Clay, when everyone's wondering on Monday, like, hey, what happened to Clay? Clay's away from Ed. They just couldn't do it anymore. But he's going to be over with Mike Pritchard, who's been a big part of the group for a while. And then JT will be on at noon. Q and Scott will be on at 2. And then 4 o'clock is Vinny B from the local paper, as we like to call it. So that's the lineup. And I'm sure we're going to have expansion of that lineup with coaches shows, player shows, play-by-play, and everyone, right? Fingers crossed, football season. We need it. We need it.
Right.
So, Q, normally when we have people on, we got a lot of friends of the show and people I've worked with and come in contact over the years. We our practice normally is, you know what? This is what we do. We just go right into it. They'll find out who you are, but you need an introduction because you are officially part of the Lotus team. So talk about where you are right now. You got a bunch of different radio jobs. You're doing podcasts. So tell everyone in the audience, you're a busy guy, man. This is the way it is, man. In radio, hustle. No matter what level you get to, people are always looking to do new stuff. But you have been climbing up the ladder and trying to get to Vegas, trying to get into the Raiders coverage, and now you got it.
Yeah, if you're always working, that's what you're supposed to be doing, you know? And so right now I got a radio show from noon to 3 on ESPN Central Texas, and it's a lot of fun. But then I also do the Locked On Raiders podcast on the daily, every single day, put that thing out. And then now get this opportunity with Scott Goldbranson to do the Silver and Black Today, which is on Raider Nation Radio, that launches on Monday with you guys there at Lotus. And I'm very excited. And, who knows what's going to happen after that. The end goal for me is to get to Vegas and be with you guys and work side by side in the building with you. But hey, right now we got a great opportunity. The Raiders are going to be there in Vegas, and yeah, man, it's exciting times. The franchise is moving forward, and I feel like this is just a new chapter in Raider Nation history. And so with this radio station, all Raiders all day, that's incredible. As a young dude growing up in the Bay Area and always being a big Raider fan, just to know that the Silver and Black, the team that I've always loved, the team that, I used to root for from the BART station, from, Ricky's. Wherever I was at, I always was rooting for the Raiders. To know that they have their own radio station now and they have this beautiful stadium there in Vegas, it's absolutely incredible. So this is a great opportunity, and I'm very excited to, join the team and hang out with you guys and do a lot of good work.
I've followed Q for a while on Twitter, and I think you guys had me on one time a while ago when we were doing the stadium deal. I've always wondered the ESPN Central Texas Raiders connection, so that makes a lot of sense. So you're from the Bay Area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always been at the top of my mind. So I wanted to ask you this, though, because for me personally, I would be very nervous because you kind of alluded to it. Not only is the Raiders having their own radio station, Las Vegas is dabbling, obviously, as we know now, into professional sports. The Vegas Golden Knights have been here for a while. Now it's the NFL. It's the National Football League is a big deal. I would be nervous to be at the forefront of the media coverage of that on the first Raider station. How does that feel for you in that aspect?
It's exciting. It really is, because it's kind of the unknown, and it's almost like you're breaking some new ground. Well, really, you are breaking some new ground, and obviously there at ESPN Las Vegas and Lotus, broadcasting, you guys have been doing a lot of really good things for the longest. And just to know that this is going to be put into the fold as well, and to have a station dedicated to one team, and why not be the Silver and Black, And so I feel like professional sports in Vegas is going to just really boom, and the Raiders are one of those. Obviously the Golden Knights were awesome as well, but I just feel like this market in Vegas is just waiting to explode, and it's already there. But now with the Raiders there and this radio station launching, I just feel like so many fans, and I've got so much good positive feedback from fans already, just waiting, just fiending kind of, just for the opportunity to hear it starting on Monday. There's so much really good talent. I'm just glad to be a part of the talent. It's not even, it's not even about me. It's just about being part of it and breaking that ground. So yeah, I'm very excited about it.
I'm sure you answered this question. What's the familiarity with Las Vegas? Like how often have you been out here? Are you here right now? And like in
Not right
city?
now. No, I'm in Central Texas right now,
Yeah.
but my mom lives in Henderson, and my son plays AAU basketball, so I would go out there every single summer, and we'd always be out there either the Thomas Mack Center or we'd be at out at Bishop Gorman, or I mean we'd be out there, just with him playing basketball, and so I was always out there. Used to come by the radio station every once in a while. Matter of fact, funny story, and I don't think you guys ever know. I sent you guys at the radio station about 5 pizzas one time and a bunch of wings from the pizza spot right down the street from the radio station, and nobody knew that it was from me. It was so funny. I called later and I was like, "Hey, did you guys get the pizzas?" And everyone was like, "Oh, that was from you. We weren't sure who it was for. We thought it was like a bad delivery, so we kind of just let it sit in the kitchen." It was hilarious, but yeah, I mean, it's I've been there to Vegas. My dad used to live there in Vegas. He recently moved, but I'm very familiar with the city. And like I said, my mom lives in Henderson, so I'm there quite a bit, and I can't wait to get out there. I was supposed to be out there for the draft, but we all know how that shook out, and that would have been a lot of fun, but it didn't happen. And so hopefully I'll get out there in the next few weeks, maybe I'm hoping to get out there before the season starts, just so I can be in the building and me and Scott can be a part of the show. But like I said, live in the building.
That's dope.
Wait, when you sent over the pizza and wings, who did you talk to confirm that we got them?
The lady at the front desk.
Oh, no.
Because it's funny.
No.
I asked her what your guys' favorite pizza place was, and she told me it was right down the street from the radio station. So I went right there, and they delivered it to you guys, and then I was like, okay, great. And then when I called, nobody realized that, hey, this is for us. They thought it was for like someone else, and it was hilarious. So it is.
I wonder, was it
John,
the station's favorite pizza, or was it the lady's favorite pizza?
John, I wonder, did we actually get the pizza and win? This is a classic story, Q, because at our place, I mean, right now, none of that's happening because we're shut down, but we always have the misfortune of being, on in the afternoon. Well, the misfortune part of it is that sometimes the food never gets to us, so maybe we got it, and I forget because I'm old, but
that wasn't the pizza from the great pizza controversy of like 2017, was it?
No. This was John. Your example was, what the hell was the name of the place? It's still there. Little Tony's at Palace Station. We got a bunch of pizza, and when we went out to go get some slices, like 95% of it was gone. We all had a freaking conniption over it. So.
Well, that's how it happens at the radio station. And me being a radio vet, I know that free food is what you want. All radio guys love free food. And so when you get the opportunity to get it, you got to go ahead and get it. And you got to get on it right away because it will be gone immediately.
Well, it's funny, like for considering where we're at right now in terms of like, the coronavirus and everybody hiding out in their homes. It's also not the most sanitary situation when you think back on it. Like it would just be like a half-eaten cake. Like you don't know who had been cutting into it. Had they been using their fork, whatever it was. The radio station break room when there's free food it's a different beast.
Feeding frenzy. It's a disaster. It's a disaster
everywhere.
So before we get to the Raider stuff, I did want to ask a couple questions about your show and the station in Central Texas. I don't think a lot of people in Vegas are aware of that station, but we are, because I've actually been set up at least 2 times at Super Bowls next to the station. And like my view of that station is that's a great example of like a mid-market station that freaking swings way above its level.
Yeah. That
place has always been awesome. How does it work so well there in terms of making money and sponsors? And you guys travel, like, you got, again, this is not a dig because we're a, kind of a mid-sized market too. You're a mid-sized market that acts like your big market and gets guests like your big market.
Yeah, we just don't take no for an answer. You know what I mean? I mean, we've always been told by our program director, our former program director, that, hey, just go and make it happen. You expect to be there. You should be there. You're as good as the big boys. You're as good as anyone in a big market like Dallas. Why shouldn't you have the big guest on there? So we go out there and we've been at Super Bowls. We've been at the draft. I mean, we've been at everything. Any event that we could be at, we've been there. And I just know this is a motto that I've always lived by. You're guaranteed to miss a shot you don't take. So I go up there and I'll get in the runner's face and say, hey man, I need Emmitt Smith. I need this person. I need this person. And they'll say, okay. Or they'll say no. But if they say no, that's fine. But at least I'm in their face. So you know how it is. You build those relationships. We go out there. We do a lot in the community as far as shaking a lot of hands, kissing a lot of babies. And I'm always very vocal and very present in the community. I think that's important. And, and so that's how we're able to really build a lot of revenue as well, just off of relationships. And that's what this game is all about, man. This is all about relationships. And I love every minute of it. I work hard. I work long hours, but at the same time, I love this. So I never feel like it's really work. You know, I mean, look, it's 12:45 where I'm at right now. And this is like, whatever. To me, we could do this all night long and I'm good. You know, I'm excited. I'm fired up. I've been fired up all day long knowing that I was going to be on with you guys.
That's awesome. We appreciate it coming on super late. Gilberto says, love Silver and Black today. Happy to have you on daily. Every day at 2:00, Q and Scott are going to be on Raider Nation Radio. That's 9:20 a.m. as we rebrand the station just for the Raiders. Play-by-play of the Raiders on 920 and Comp 92.3. So
can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Q, have you been on the air with Scott before?
Yeah, we do a show on we've been doing the Silver and Black Today show, and I've been on for about 6 weeks. I've been on, and he let me get on, and he said, you want to come guest host one day? And I did, and he invited me back another week, and then after another week he said, hey, you want to come back next week? And I was like, yeah. And I'm that guy, man, and you guys know how this is. If you're not working, someone else is. So I'm like, man, put me on anytime you want, anytime you need me, you call me, you let me know, I'm good. And so we've been rocking ever since, man. It's been a great opportunity. It's been a lot of fun, and man, this is a great opportunity. I'm so fired up about this opportunity. It's incredible, man.
Yeah, it's curious. It's always hard with chemistry, but
I'll ask both of you guys. Stadium completion day was today, so we assume it's whatever. It's 98, 99% done. This is kind of the official. Hey Raiders, here's the stadium from the county and those of us who live in Nevada. What does this mean? Like, what in terms of a milestone? Because it's interesting. It's a gigantic milestone, and I'm telling you, here on the ground in Vegas, it went by like it was yesterday when they started breaking ground. We're talking 32, 33 months, but it's weird. There's mixed feelings because we have a brand new stadium. Teams should be able to play in there. Concerts should be able to go down. We're supposed to have Garth Brooks on August 22nd in 3 weeks. But then, the other part of it is like we have a stadium. When can we use it? But what does stadium completion mean for you guys?
Well, I'll tell you, for me personally, man, it's incredible. It's a long journey. It's almost like, you've been on a long car ride and then you finally see like Disneyland on the other side. You know what I mean? Or you see the goal at the end of the ride. Like, that it's finally there. The Raiders and me in particular, because I'm a Bay Area guy and, I've been going to the Coliseum for years and knowing that the Raiders need a new stadium, for them to know that they have a home. I mean, guys, look, they're not playing on a dirt field anymore. They're not sharing it with the A's, and they're not doing any of that. They have their own home. Yes, I know they're sharing it with UNLV, but that's their home. They got a spot that is incredible. It's up there with the best of the best in the league, and they're not a laughing stock anymore. So for me, it's almost like a sigh of relief. Like, man, it's finally time to go from, the archaic times to being up to date. And matter of fact, not even up to date, but ahead of up to date. And Mark Davis has done a great job with everything that he did to help get that stadium done. And Las Vegas was awesome to be able to help make it happen. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I hate the fact that they had to leave Oakland, but I get it. I understand it was a necessity. And now they have this beautiful palace in Las Vegas. They have a new chapter of Raider football. They have a new chapter in their life, their history of their franchise. And I think it's going to be great. And it's going to embrace an incredible city that you guys have been there for very long. So you know how great the city is. It's only going to get better with the addition of the Raiders. So it's just it's a welcome. It's a big smile and a big hug to get to the finish line for me.
I think it's cool. I mean, I think I view it a couple of ways, but one, if I look at it overall, like growing up out here, it's really cool to see this paired up with what's been going on with the Vegas Golden Knights and like how much the city's expanded and grown. And like, there's that aspect of it where growing up, obviously that wasn't a blink in the eye. And then all of a sudden now this is it. And you go from, unfortunately, UNLV running Rebel basketball at this point, being like the main thing to talk about all the time. To now the Knights, and then of course the Raiders, and then just the luster of the NFL. Like, regardless of how the stadium came around in terms of local funds and whether or not I agreed with it, there is a coolness to it because of where Vegas was and where it is. And, to see the NFL games on Sunday Night Football with the wide shots of the strip and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
I mean, how awesome is it? Just to know that. I mean, you already had the T-Mobile Arena. Obviously,
right.
The fights are obviously huge. UNLV has been great. You mentioned basketball. I grew up as a Running Rebel fan. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. My dad took me to a Running Rebel game, and the decimal levels inside the Thomas and Mack were incredible. You know what I mean? And that was back in the day. That was Tark the Shark. That was Stacey Augmon. That was Larry Johnson. I mean, I was so excited to be there, and that's such a great city. And the things I did, even in that city at like 19 years old, my dad really introduced me to the city of Las Vegas. And so to know that now it's morphed and it's matured and grown from what it was to now having the Golden Knights that took hockey by storm when they entered the league. And now all of a sudden you have the opportunity to get another franchise that already is established in the NFL and is a historic franchise, even though it hasn't been where it needs to be, but it has the opportunity to grow and get back there again. I mean, this city of Las Vegas, man, this is on and popping. And I'll tell you right now, it's not a coincidence that everybody wants to be there right now. I mean, it really is. Las Vegas is the spot to be across the country. Everyone's talking about being there in Vegas.
I like what the stadium has done in a way to Mark Davis, because I think in a lot of ways Mark was kind of forced to the corner of the room, the proverbial corner of the room, with all the other owners. And now the guy's like, all right, now I can compete. Look at this palace. I'm not in, this dump that you guys mocked on me for. I can now speak up. And I think he's actually been, I think he's been one of the guys to look up to as an owner during this pandemic, because no one else has spoken. Everyone's in hiding. So I think the stadium is all part of Mark kind of puffing his chest out now and really becoming an NFL owner, out from under the shadow of Al. And it goes to what the Raiders are building from a culture standpoint. And maybe part of Mark Davis, puffing his chest out is not only the stadium, not only, the money coming in, the PSL sales are ridiculous. I mean, they sold $550 million in PSL sales. Like he can look at other owners and go, yeah, don't look down on me anymore. Don't talk to me like that anymore. I'm not some freaking stepchild. But I also think part of the culture change for him is being around Gruden, around Mayock, but especially Gruden. And listen, they haven't won at the level they've wanted to the last couple of years, but culture is going to be a gigantic thing moving forward. Attitude, right, Q?
Absolutely. 100%. And that's part of the thing. That's what I'm really excited about. And, whenever there's like a head coaching change or any kind of ownership change, the first thing that we hear all the time and we get so tired of is, well, we got to change the culture. Well, the culture here is not very good. And as a Raider fan, just as a fan myself, I've heard that 25, 30 times because, well, the Raiders have changed coaches so many times. And only now do I believe that the culture has actually changed with the Raiders. And it started really with Jack Del Rio. He started changing the culture. And then, well, in 2017, he got a little squirrely and everything went bad. In that week 3 in Washington, we all remember how bad that was. And he ultimately got fired. But Gruden was Mark Davis's guy. And the one thing I respect about Mark Davis is he's not going to be one of those guys that tries to do something that he doesn't know how to do. He's not a football guy. He's a very good businessman. He knows when to move. He knows when to shake. He knows when to jump. He knows when to leap. I mean, he knows those kind of moves, but he's not a football guy. He brought his guy back, which was John Gruden, which I think as a Raider fan, all of Raider Nation really respects Gruden. And even though I myself, I questioned, I didn't know, hey, what does Gruden have after being out of the coaching realms for so long? But I think that what they were able to do, move around and make some trades and move on from Mac, even though that was hard for me to take. I didn't like it at first, but I get it. And now you see the foundation has been laid. And just like when you build a beautiful house, you put down the foundation, then you start building on top of it. And then all of a sudden you start adding things onto it. And all of a sudden now, at the end of the day, just like Allegiant Stadium, you have this great palace. That's what they have right now. They have a lot of young, hungry guys that want to be Raiders. They have free agents that want to be Raiders. It's no longer like, oh, we're just going to go there and collect a check. These are guys that want to actually win games. And so now they've turned that culture over, and now the Raiders are ready to step into 2020. And even though this is a squirrely season and we don't know what's going to happen, it's unfortunate that the first season in Vegas is hit with a pandemic. That stinks, but I think that they're right there ready to rock and roll and actually be a competitive team, compete with the Chiefs. I know that it's a tough competition because the Chiefs are incredible, but they're ready to compete now because they have turned everything over. They've changed that culture. They have players, they have facilities, they have a stadium, and they have a fan base that's ready to get it going. And now they have Raider Nation Radio, which is going to talk about them all the time there in Las Vegas. What else do you want, man? It's great.
So my kudos to Davis goes also down my path, or deals with my path as a football
Absolutely.
fan. And Sean talked about it here. Mark Davis is the antithesis of Snydog, and that's what we call the Washington football team now. Instead of the Redskins, it's the Snydogs. Snyder.
I like it. I love it. That's awesome.
It's ridiculous. It's easy. There's nothing worse than being a football fan and knowing that your owner is an asshole. I mean, it makes it like not only they're an asshole and they're terrible at owning the team. So I've got one with the Jets with Woody Johnson. The Redskins have been stuck with this forever. Mark Davis is at least going to try. And, I mean, this is not if you're losing, you don't want to hear about all the nice stories, and treating the employees the right way and the players the right way. But it is part of it. Like, you can deal with it a little more easily. And, Mark Davis is a quality dude. Let's talk about Gruden first, John. John, where are the books right now on the Raiders? Because I know Q wants to build on a point. For the Raiders to get to the next level, and this is something we've talked about, scripting the beginning of the game is one thing, and having success at the beginning of the game is cool, but the second half has got to be better. So, John, I know a lot of the sharps talk about that, right? That second half Raiders are not a great bet. So do you believe that's going to change? And then we'll let Q answer it.
I would say, I mean, to be quite honest, I wasn't entirely familiar with the second trend Raiders, but I'll tell you this. I mean, from a standpoint of overall what Gruden's done, the part that impressed me the most was this was a team last year, Steve, if you remember, which, by the way, they're 40-1 to win the Super Bowl and 20-1 to win the AFC. But I know you guys remember last year. I thought what was most impressive was this was a team that I think a lot of people were betting under. A lot of people didn't have high expectations for, but a lot had to do with that schedule, right? That stretch of, what was it, like 5 or 6 weeks where they didn't get to play a home game.
Yeah. And
that was a relatively impressive run through that. And a big reason why a lot of people, in terms of fading this team, they thought they weren't going to win a lot of games. Ultimately, they won a few more. If I remember correctly, their win total last year was 6.5, and they finished with 7, right? So, like, a lot of people were betting this team under, but they got through that stretch in relatively successful fashion. And so I would say, just from that standpoint, I think they turned a lot of heads. 40-1 is not a terrible long shot. I mean, we can obviously get into the minutia of the very good teams at the top. But overall, I think Gruden's done a better job than I expected, and clearly a better job than what the market expected last year.
I mean, he's done well, and they've improved every year that he's been there. I mean, his first year, 2018, he had 4 wins. Last year, he had 7 wins. But the problem is, last year in the third quarter, the Raiders only scored 5 times. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about that. All season long, they scored 5 times. They never scored twice in the third quarter in any game at all in 2019. You're not going to win games if you do that. The problem is the Raiders started off games really well. When John Gruden came out of the locker room and had all his scripted plays, he did really well. When he went back into the locker room, his adjustments just weren't there. And that's where my question is, wait a minute, hold on. You've been in the game way too long not to be able to make halftime adjustments. So this is the big pet peeve for me. Coming in 2020, if you're going to expect to compete with the Chiefs, who are a really good team, we know that. If you're going to compete with them and you're going to try to even get a wild card spot, which you should expect to get a wild card spot in year 3 under John Gruden, you cannot only score 5 times in 16 games in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That's just not acceptable. That's just not okay. And that's on Gruden. That's not on Carr, and Carr gets all the blame for everything. I can fall down my steps when I get off this, this call and everything, and it'd be Carr's fault. You know what I mean? Like, it's not on Carr. It's not on the lack of weapons. That's squarely on John Gruden. And he said it the other day in the press conference, I've got to be a better coach. I've got to get it in the end zone. I can't be at the 1-yard line and have to settle for a field goal. And he's right. The Raiders were really good between the 20s. They stacked up a lot of yards, which goes back to Derek Carr and his season he had. You can see the yards he had, but they didn't capitalize when it came to the red zone. So he's got to get better on the sideline. He's got to push the right buttons. He's got to call the right plays, and he's got to be able to make adjustments at halftime. If you can't make those adjustments, there's going to be a problem. So that's where John Gruden as a head coach has got to get better than what he's been the first 2 years with the Raiders. And now that he has all these different weapons, he said it the other day, the playbook's big enough. I've just got to call the right play. That's on him, because that scoring 5 times in the third quarter, all of this, the whole season, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I'm curious. So when you looked at the drafting of Ruggs, right? Like a lot of the conversation was lightening up the box, allowing you to open things up a little bit more. What do you think of what the value is of Ruggs in helping that offense and that problem? Obviously, you got to the play calling aspect of it, but the addition of a weapon like that does open things up a little bit, correct?
Absolutely. 100%. Speed kills. We know that. Speed kills. Al Davis loves speed. There's a reason why he drafted Darius Hayward-Bay instead of Michael Crabtree. He loves speed. But Henry Ruggs can catch the ball. Henry Ruggs can do short slants and take it to the house. I mean, Henry Ruggs with the ball in his hand is a weapon and dangerous. So what I'm excited about, because I didn't think that was going to be the pick. I thought it was going to be CeeDee Lamb. I really did, because I felt like from what I've seen from Gruden's offense the first 2 years, CeeDee Lamb would have been the guy that, can go over the middle, catch the ball, whatever, boom, boom, just kind of be the guy who extends the drive and be slow and methodical. But when you grab Henry Ruggs, all of a sudden you have a guy who's got top class speed. He's got world class speed. I mean, he's that guy. So now I know, okay, look, the box is not going to be loaded when Josh Jacobs is trying to run. There's not going to be a double team on Darren Waller. There's not going to be Hunter Renfrow have all this attention on him, because now the defense has to respect the speed of Henry Ruggs. Even if the ball's not going his way, at least they know, hey, this guy can make some plays happen. He's not just a fast guy. He can also catch the ball and take it to the house from whatever. I mean, he could do a crossing pattern, catch the ball, and take it to the house. I mean, that's just how good he is. So any way that he's on the field, or anytime he's on the field, you have to be aware of him. So I think that just makes the offense, it opens up the offense for everybody. I think Josh Jacobs is in for a big-time year. He had 1,150 yards in 13 games as a rookie. I think he's going to have a bigger season. I think he's going to have an opportunity to throw or catch the ball as well. And it's just going to be a lot better, like I said, execution on offense. But Henry Ruggs is going to open a lot of things up just because he has that world-class speed.
I have one more question about this offense. And actually, so Q and Adam can answer, because I think this is really fascinating. One of the more interesting NFL teams is Steve. Can I ask Steve, or do you have another tangent you want to go on?
No, it's all your show, Pat. Yeah, Adam's here, by the way.
What's up, Adam?
What's up? How you doing, man?
Since the sarcasm.
I'm here mostly to produce on Friday nights. Seriously.
Okay. All right.
Seriously.
So then I'm curious, Q, I'll start with you, because what I find so interesting about the Raiders, the Derek Carr is part of this, right? But the Raiders last year at DVOA finished 9th in overall offense, 7th in their pass offense. And so, we have these conversations about this offense opening up and this offense getting better, and yet you see some of the metrics, and they were top 10 offense last year. I find the conversation around this fascinating, that we're talking about this from Derek Carr's perspective, from the offense opening up, but yet we're looking at them in the 10 within some advanced metrics in terms of total overall offensive efficiency.
Yeah, the problem was they weren't top 10 as far as scoring.
Mm-hmm.
They were the offense was great. Yeah, they put up a lot of yards, but Adam, I mean, you don't win games with yards. You know what I mean? You win games with points. And the problem was they weren't getting into the end zone. That's the problem. I mean, between the 20s, they were awesome, and Derek Carr was able to pick up a lot of yards, and they did a lot of good things. But when push came to shove and they got down to the goal line, look, they couldn't even punch it in from the 1 yard line. And that's the problem. Back in the day, John Gruden used to call Zach Crockett's number 3 times in a row and say, you know what, you're going to punch it in. And I love the addition of the fullback. I think that Alec Ingold is a really good player, and I called it multiple times. Anytime there's a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 in 2019, go back and look at the tape. You knew it was coming a fullback dive, and it was going to Alec Ingold. And 9 times out of 10, he was going to pick up that first down. But they just weren't able to punch it in the end zone. And so that's the problem. You're not going to beat the Chiefs with field goals. You're just not. You've got to get it to the end zone. When you only average 20 points a game, you're not going to win a lot in 2020's NFL. You're just not. I mean, you've got to get into the end zone. John Gruden knows it. The Raiders know it. And the AFC West knows it. It's just too tough of a division to try to win if you're only scoring 20 points a game.
Yeah, John, I know you and I love the metrics, and we talk about metrics all the time, but that is, I guess, one of the flaws sometimes in metrics is that, it was, as Q pointed out, between the 20s, great, moving up and down the field. They would stall, inside the 20, settle for field goals and get stopped. What's up? So I mean, that was part of the issue. And as you mentioned, Ingold was a guy that could get it done, but at some point you have to realize, like, you have to either find another option or at least play off of him and use him as a decoy, because everybody knows at one point they were 8 of 8 giving it to him on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Get out
but
of
at some
here.
point,
Really? I didn't know that.
But at some point you can't do the same thing every time. So like you do have to mix it up. And the other part of that, because I won't rehash the red zone struggles, because Q pointed that out very well and went into detail on it. The other part that I think is chicken and egg, and maybe you put it on Carr, maybe you put it on the weapons, I don't know. The lack of explosion was just so evident so many times last year, where you mentioned all the good numbers about Carr. I mean, the really bad numbers that you look at are, and I think you might have it in front of you, John, the air yards per attempt was just horrific. Just horrific. And I think it was last in the league. Or maybe there was was Garoppolo
there's like
maybe
four
behind him?
I'll pull it up now. There's like 4 quarterbacks like below him, but you're right. He's near the bottom of the league.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was an issue all year where, you're moving the ball up and down the field, but at some point you have to make big plays. Yeah. You have to. Like, you can't – NFL defenses will allow you to dink and dunk. And, okay, you want to pick up 3 or 4 first downs? Fine. We're not going to let you go all the way down the field. You've got to take the top off the defense. That's why you bring in Henry Ruggs. And now – I hate to say it over and over because we've said it so many times. There's no more excuses. Like, this is 3rd year in the system for Carr, all the weapons you could possibly want. Now, they're young, so you can make that argument, but, like, you've got all the weapons there. You've got, receivers with size and physicality like Edwards that you're bringing in. You've got Tyrell Williams, who can get back to his role as more of a deep threat, physical type guy, that you can throw it up to, that he can make plays with his body, but he doesn't have to be a number 1 receiver because Henry Ruggs should fill that role. And that you have the trust with Renfrow. Plus, you've got, a guy like Darren Waller, who's just a game changer at tight end. And then we already mentioned the weapons in the backfield. You've got to throw the ball to Jacobs more. You've got to get him more involved in the passing game. But you've got a fullback that can catch it in Ingold as well. Like, you've got weapons everywhere. And the offensive line is certainly good enough. I mean, there's debates whether it's a top 5 offensive line or a top 15, but it's certainly good enough that you don't have excuses. So everything is there for the offense. So there's no more, like, if they don't go deep this year, if they don't make explosive plays, I think you do start to say, all right, like, that's Carr. Like, he's got to get back to what he was in 2016 with this type of offense.
I'm counting right now, by the way. So you were the intent. So if you go to NFL Next Gen Stats, the average intended air yards, I was counting how many quarterbacks qualified, but among qualified quarterbacks, Derek Carr was second to last, 6.3 yards. Can you guys guess who the last quarterback was?
Mitchell Trubisky.
Not Mitchell Trubisky?
I thought it was Garoppolo.
He's low. It is Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Wow.
He stinks. Yeah.
He is a short thrower. So, okay. So, I'm sorry. I know Steve's probably mad because I took over the show, but I'm really curious about this.
No, he wanted you to.
This is really interesting. So I wanted to ask you defensively then, and I'll start with you, because there's been 2 things that stuck out with me about the Raiders the last 2 years. One, it's the lack of turnover. They were second to last in terms just ahead of the Chargers. There was only about 1 turnover. So let's start with that. Like, why is turnovers for this, and do you see that improving?
Well, I mean, it's got to improve, because they're not turning the ball over. That's a problem. When they went to the playoffs in 2016, their defense wasn't very good. They did have Khalil Mack, and he was able to get sacks. But the reason why they were a decent team and Derek Carr had an opportunity to come back at the very end of the game and win a lot of games is because their defense created turnovers. They got interceptions. They got strip sacks. They were able to get fumbles and pick them up. They just weren't able to do that, and they haven't been able to do that. So that's something that they have to do. And the thing I like about it now is Amik Robinson. That's a guy, he's a ball hawk. He's a guy who expects to go and get the ball. He's not only going to break up the pass, but he wants to intercept the ball. And the one thing I do know from covering high school football to college football to the NFL, if you don't make plays in high school, you're not going to make plays in college. If you don't make plays in college, you ain't going to make plays in the NFL. You know what I mean? So these guys grow and they get better as they do. And Amik Robertson is a playmaker. He's a guy who's going to create turnovers. He's a guy that's going to intercept the ball. There's other guy, Max Crosby. I think that the way that he improves from what he did in 2019, get some more strip sacks. I mean, not only sack the quarterback, but strip the ball. They've got to find a way to turn the ball over. They just don't. They're so bad at turnovers right now. They've got to find a way to improve that. That's something that Paul Gunther, that's something that Rod Marinelli, they all have to make sure that they're really honing everybody in on, like, this has got to be a key. If you can't create turnovers and give your offense short fields, you're not going to be that successful. And that's what they really were in 2016. The defense wasn't that good, but they created a lot of turnovers. Go back to 2016 and see where they were ranked in turnovers, and you'll see why they made the playoffs.
I mean, first of all, they did bring in a ton of talent in the secondary for sure. And I think, Abram is a guy who's like a ball hawk. He'll be around the ball. He'll make plays. But everything starts with the pass rush. Right? I mean, you're not going to make plays on the back end if you can't get to the quarterback.
Agreed.
That's the biggest thing. So you need more. I'll explain what I mean by you need more out of Max Crosby, because Max Crosby's numbers were ridiculous. Like, nobody expected that out of Max Crosby. But here's the problem. Grade. As much as I love Max Crosby, here's the problem. He either got to the quarterback or disappeared.
Right.
Like, it was all or nothing. And I think there was a lot of times where he got out of position. He got so caught up with trying to get to the quarterback that he would allow running lanes, that he would just get taken out of plays, even on pass plays where he had
easily 10 sacks last year, right?
Just 10 and a half.
10 and a half.
10 and a half.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
So he would get to the quarterback or just disappear. So you need more consistency out of Max Crosby, and I think what helps him there is bringing in guys, other talented guys around the offensive line, or excuse me, the defensive line. Bringing in a guy like Carl Nassib, who not a lot of people have talked about from the offseason, but he's a veteran that knows what he's doing. I think he could be a good type of mentor, even if he's not, on the field as much as we think he might be. Like, he's a guy that's going to be very important to that defensive line. Guys like, Arden Key. I mean, every year's boomer bust year for Arden Key, right? Like, everybody's like, this is the year he's got to do something. He's got to be able to do something. I think everybody talks if he's there, if he's on the team. Cleveland Ferrell is a guy. Listen, he had the target of the fourth pick on his back. Yep. He's not a pure pass rusher.
No,
that's never what he was. And then you look at him and you're like, hey, why isn't he getting to the quarterback every time? Well, A, he's playing inside a lot because they need him there because they had injuries on the inside. But B, like, that's just not what he is. He's a good all around defensive player. And he kind of got caught up in that. And I think there was times he was frustrated because people were like, why isn't he getting sacks? Well, it's because they drafted him there and put him in this position where he's supposed to get, 14 sacks. That's not what he was. So it's guys finding their spot, finding their role in this defense. And I think creating pressure is what it's going to be all about for this team defensively to try to step up, because we know they're very young in the secondary. I think they're incredibly talented. You talked about Robertson, who's a guy I think could be an absolute steal in the draft because his size, and nobody thought he could play outside, but hey, stick him inside, let him make plays, and I think he'll do that. He's up to he wants the challenge. Like, he's a guy that's like, put me out there. Oh, you want me to cover Julio Jones? All right, let's go do it. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. So I think that'll be exciting. But those guys are going to be made to look terrible if there's no pressure up front. Like, rookies get exposed when there's no pressure. So you have to create pressure.
No doubt about it. I like the fact that you mentioned the young guys that they have, especially in the secondary. But what they did this year in the draft, in my opinion, especially with a guy like Amik Robertson and Damon Arnett, they got some goons. You know what I mean? They didn't get guys that are, I always say that when you win games, you have car thieves and you have choir boys. They got their choir boys in 2019. This year in the draft, they got their car thieves. You know what I mean? And Amik Robertson is a car thief. Damon Arnett is a car thief. Those guys have a little bit of swagger. They got that old school Raider feel, that one that's I'm going to hit you in the face. I'm going to do something dirty to you when you're trying to come off the line of scrimmage. I mean, they got that little something in their neck. Like, if you walk down the alley, you want to have them on your side, not against you. There could be something that goes down. Cleve Farrell, going back to him, he was a guy that they needed to change that culture. And we talked about the culture earlier in the show. They needed him to change the culture of the team because he was in Clemson, he was a leader. He was the leader of that defense that went out there and won the national championship. And everyone said, who is your leader? And they looked at Cleve Farrell and said, that guy right there. He's a difference maker, even though he's not, a 14, like you said, 14 sack a season guy. And the problem for Khalil Mack was just traded. And so when you get picked at number 4, everyone thinks, oh, he's supposed to be Khalil Mack. That's not what they brought him in for. They brought him in to be a foundation piece of the team. You mentioned it. He played inside. He played outside. He got a concussion. He lost 15 pounds. He didn't play in every game. And guess what? He still had 4.5 sacks his rookie year when Khalil Mack, who everyone's trying to compare him to, only had 4. So he still did okay. And he didn't even play all 16 games. And he didn't play his position all the time. So he's going to be all right. I think we're going to see a lot of really good things from Cleve Farrell this year. Actually, he's the guy I'm expecting to take the biggest jump in year 2 with the Raiders is Cleve Farrell.
And we talked a lot about the line and the secondary, right? I think the thing that we left out is the most solid part of the defense, which is so crazy considering last year they had a disaster at linebacker. And Vontaze Burfict was the guy they brought in to be that guy, and he gets suspended, and all of a sudden they have nothing. Like, there's times they didn't even have enough linebackers to put out there, and I don't even think they wanted to. They were just like, we got nothing, so we're just going to play with defensive linemen and secondary, and that's it, because we don't have linebackers. All of a sudden now, you invest, and nobody really talks about it that much. Like, you look at what people are saying about the Raiders, they improved so much at linebacker with Corey Littleton, who is an elite coverage guy. And, John, I mean, how many times did I come on your show the last couple of years and say, like, they can't cover a running back or a tight end? They can't. Right. It's impossible.
And all of a sudden
you've got, nobody like Corey Littleton is just a steady, like, get up there, go cover somebody. I mean, there's film of him covering Michael Thomas where you're like, wow, okay, like this guy can cover anybody. So you had him, and then he has some question marks against the run and in the toughness aspect maybe, but then you bring in Kwiatkowski, who just fills that role. So all of a sudden you've got that, the guy that wants to get dirty and just gritty and make plays in Kwiatkowski. You got the cover guy Littleton. All of a sudden you go from a disaster linebacker to maybe the strength of your defense. Like that's quite an improvement.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I ask? I think Steve's going to get mad at me. Paul, I'll ask you both though really quickly. Gunther. So because I was looking at some of the numbers, right? Like, because everything you're talking about in terms of improvement and investing and all that stuff, like clearly they've gotten better. But at some point, right, when you look at your defensive coordinator, like 32nd in multiple categories or 31st in multiple categories, right? Like that's at some point that falls upon your coaching staff, correct? So what do you guys think of Paul Gunther and his status with this team looking at it from?
I think he needs to do what Tom Cable did last year. Last year, going into 2019, I said this is going to be a year. Now that they went out and got Trent Brown, they went out and got Richie Incognito, he's got to put up or shut up. If the offensive line can't protect Derek Carr better than they did the year before, then he's going to be out of there. Well, 2019 went by, and the offensive line was really good. It was really good. Trent Brown was awesome. Richie Incognito proved to be a really good piece. And even when Richie was out or when Gabe Jackson was out, they had guys that were able to fill that role. They had depth there at the offensive line, and they were able to fill that role. So Tom Cable passed the test for me, and I stopped talking trash about him because he was doing what he was supposed to do. So I think it's on Paul Gunther now that he has weapons on defense. They went out and the Raiders did things in free agency and the draft to address the defensive side of the ball. So now Paul Gunther's got to be there to push the right buttons. And not only did they get players to add to the defensive side of the ball, they went out there and got Rob Marinelli. And I like Brentson Buckner a lot. I think a lot of Raider fans love Brentson Buckner from what they saw from him off of Hard Knocks. But Rod Marinelli's an old school cat, man. He's that dude that knows how to get it done. He's coached up a lot of really good defensive line players. He's going to ride you. He's going to ride you hard and get the best out of you. And that's what the Raiders need. They need that defensive line pressure. They need those guys in the middle. They need P.J. Hall. They need Mo Hurst. They need Jonathan Hankins. They need Malik Collins. I'm very excited about Malik Collins. I think he's going to be a dude. I'm so excited about Malik Collins. I'm in Texas.
What did he do in those 4? He was
a
so
player.
Underwhelming.
He was a player with the Cowboys, man. Cowboy fans are upset. I promise you, from a guy who sits here and talks to Cowboy fans on the regular Monday through Friday, Cowboy fans are missing Malik Collins because he was able to do some really good things on that defensive line, and Rob Marinelli is going to push that out of him. They also brought in Daniel Ross, came from the Cowboys. I mean, you see there's a lot of Dallas connections on the Raiders team this year, and I think Rob Marinelli is going to do some good things. So I'm excited about what they can do defensively on that defensive line. It's going to take some time to gel, though. That's what I'm concerned about. There was no offseason. There was no OTAs. There was no rookie minicamp. There was a lot of things that were missing. So it's going to take a little bit of time. The offense needs to come out clicking early in the season to give them opportunity. But I'm excited about the players and the opportunity that the defense has. But again, like I said, it's going to take a little bit of time to gel.
All right, I'll jump back in. Yeah, I'll jump back in. Let's Q. It's late. It's late in the Central Time Zone, so we're going to let Q go here in the next couple minutes. But I want everyone to make a very early pick here. I guess this wouldn't be that early if we were playing a preseason, but Raiders prop bet for wins, exact number of wins, right? So their total is 7.5.
Yeah.
Under is -125. Over is +105. But this prop bet with Will Hill allows you to pick the exact bet, and it's a better payoff. So here are the numbers. I'll punch them up here in 1 second. Let's see. 7 wins is +250. 8 wins is +250. 9 is 6-1. 10 is 10-1. 6 is 5-1. 5 wins is 9-1. Who wants up first?
I'll say if you're getting super strategery about it, do you not take a small position on 5 wins just because you have no idea with the coronavirus and what's going to happen that it could ravage their team and nobody's going to play?
No. If they get 5 wins, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be that dude, but if you get 5 wins, something went terribly wrong and there's a problem.
Well, they are the worst team in the division.
I don't agree.
No
I think
way. Denver's the worst team in the division.
No way.
Denver's got the worst quarterback. He hasn't done anything. He's played 5 games.
Right, but my case is more like, let's say, unfortunately, like Derek Carr has to miss like 4 weeks because of missing time with the coronavirus, and Marcus Mariota does too. And then you're stuck to start like Luke Falk for some reason, and you get
what kind of scenario is that though?
But right, you're getting 9-1.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying it can't happen.
Are we watching what's happening with the Marlins? Like,
it's
unlikely.
How come Tyrod Taylor can't catch a couple corona cases or Drew Lock catch a corona case?
Well, I'm saying
Tyrod masks up, man. Tyrod masks up. Don't even.
Right. But
don't even
unbelievable. All right, look. Let me go ahead and start this.
Coronavirus.
Okay, the Raiders won 4 games the first year with Gruden. They won 7 games last year. They were in the playoff hunt. Even in week 17, they had to have a lot of magic happen. It obviously didn't happen. Fine. They won 7 games. I'm saying there's no reason why the Raiders can't win 9 games this year. That's my prediction. 9-7 for the Raiders, and I feel like they should be in the playoff hunt. Now, they've got to have some things go right for them to make the playoffs. The Chiefs are still a dog. We know that, but I say at least 9 wins. If they don't win 9 wins, something went wrong. I mean, because, again, you have to continue to improve.
Weren't 5 of the 7 against backup quarterbacks? I don't think we can look at it as. I don't think we can look at it as this big improvement from 4 wins to 7 wins. I mean, it is obviously if you just take the record.
Hey man, when you show up
playing a backup every week,
you show up to play a game on Sunday. If you get a dub, you take a dub. I mean, look, man. Back in the day when you got a girl, did you talk about? Well, you know what, homeboy that was a little bit better than me. Homeboy was a little bit better than me, but you know what? He was out of town. So no, man, you got to win when you got to win, man. You took what you can get. It don't matter.
No, you just hope the guy's out of town.
Man, you're tripping.
I mean, my prediction is 7-9, but I'm not going to bet a favorite. So I guess you would lean 6 just for the betting aspect of this. But I think 7-9 is their record this year.
That's not an improvement. That's not an improvement for 2019, though. You've got to improve.
Well, actually, let me ask you: if they're 7-9, but let's say they finish like 15th in total defense and the turnovers, they get 10 more turnovers. Like they show visible signs of improvement, but they still go 7-9. Isn't that a successful year?
No, I think they're absolutely a better team, but I think they win the same amount of games.
Right.
Let me ask you this. You guys are there in Vegas. What did the Golden Knights do the first year they were there in Vegas?
I mean, they went to the final.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that the Raiders are going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying if you're there in Vegas, you should expect a team to come in and win, right?
No, every team in the league didn't
but you haven't answered my question. You haven't answered my question.
No, you can't expect that every time.
Do you expect that as a fan of a team in Vegas showing up, now that the Golden Knights have raised the bar to a certain extent, you want to see them win?
Oh, I'm sure the fans want to see them win. Sure, I think
they gotta go. They gotta win at least 9, man. If they don't win 9, it's a failed season. I'll tell you that. That's what I'm saying. Without 9 wins, that's a failed season.
I think they are a significantly better team this year.
I agree.
Yeah, but I still think they win the same amount of games. I think it was kind of a fraudulent 7.
Adam, me and you are gonna go outside. We're gonna arm wrestler, and we're gonna do something. And then I'm gonna buy you a beer. We're gonna call it a day.
Nah, bro. Strawberry rosé Smirnoff spelled.
Oh, that's why you're talking like that. You're drinking rosé Smirnoff.
Very hard.
Are you serious? Oh man, come on.
Thank
you
you.
might as well
Great
have
job.
a White Claw.
Come on, man. Truly. We're all soft. I'm drinking a Natty Light Natter Day. It's got a little.
I got a water, but that can change quick.
John's doing water. He's got to hydrate for he's drinking water for different reasons though. All right, Q. Great job. We'll be listening on Monday, 2:00 again. Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. and Q's going to be on every day, Monday to Friday. How cool is that?
Pretty cool.
Right?
Pretty cool. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on, man. I really appreciate this. It's been a lot of fun. Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll talk to meet you, man.
Okay. There you go. Q Myers, newest member of Lotus Broadcasting, going to be on 9:20. Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. now. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let me get to some comments.
He was too nice. It was very jarring after being on with you guys all the time.
Yeah, he'll get more of a taste of especially Adam. Well, I mean, his whole point there about. Well, I mean, let's be honest. When we start talking betting, people from outside the market, it's just a little bit different. And I understand what John was saying. John's like, hey, you got to factor in coronavirus. You got to be careful with that. And Q's looking at it like, hey, they got to take the next step. Sometimes you can take the next step, Adam, and what happens? You may have the same exact record. UNLV basketball this year may have a much better team. Much better. They're not going to have the same record because they're not going to play as many games, but they could have the same kind of season they had a year ago and be much better.
Right.
It
also speaks to, right, like their record, overall, their record and everything. I don't think you can argue. They had a fantastic season this year, like regardless of just the overall record, too, like to your point as well. There's much more than just the record.
UNLV hoops?
Yeah, UNLV hoops.
And a season is viewed differently when you improve. They were so down in the dumps and just so mediocre through about 12 games, and then they closed out well and put up one of the best records in recent history in the Mountain West Conference for a UNLV program. This is why did you let the light of positivity leave the broadcast?
I got a light of positivity for you.
No, you know what? It is going to be very positive because we're going to get to some of the negative takes from the NBA, but I think we won Adam over a little bit today. I'm very fired up about the NBA. I have nothing negative to say about it. I'm stoked. John, I know you wanted to start out with just talking about James Harden, which I don't know why. It's funny because we're going to get into the conversation of old whites who, for some reason, over the years, aside from racism, they can't stand the NBA. But then there's people who like the game, who are passionate fans, and all they do is crap on James Harden. And we've made the point a million times. If you put James Harden in 1966 NBA, he's like 60 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists.
Right.
Like he would destroy people, and people are like, "Oh, chump, buster," to use the Charlie Kirk terminology. What a buster! He's got street cred, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I thought Harden's awesome, dude. Tonight he was great. Like I don't know how if you watched that game tonight, how you can sit there and be like, this guy sucks. He's so boring. Like this guy tonight scored 45. Or he scored how many points did he have? Wait, my thing froze. Yeah, he scored 45 points tonight. 49, excuse me, on 14 of 20 shooting. Yeah, he shot 21 free throws. He was great. Hit a massive step back three down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Also, of course, the missed free throw and the putback by Covington, which was spectacular to tie the game up as the Mavericks collapsed.
Covington's route, the stunt that Covington ran was unbelievable.
Dude,
I still don't know if Harden missed it on purpose.
You know what? I was watching that with Isabel, and I was like, I don't know if he missed this on purpose or not. I feel like he did. I mean, he was pretty aware. By the way, and he didn't get the call. How impressed were you with the inbound with 3 seconds left? And he immediately sees the defender crashing down on him, and he just rips forward to take a shot. Like, it was so close. He's so fucking good, man. I don't know how people can watch him and just be like, oh, this sucks. Oh, this is terrible. Like, he is so much fun.
His creativity at drawing fouls. I mean, it is annoying. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, like, how could you, and as you said, like, transplant him to, like, the 80s. People, I think his opponents would quit. They would just walk. Like, what are we supposed to do?
His basketball IQ alone, like let's just take the athleticism out of it. His basketball IQ alone would put him above a majority of the NBA.
I mean, I think. Listen, you look at the stats, and you're mentioning the shots that he was making and that kind of thing. I mean, I feel like the most impressive thing, and I don't know how much D'Antoni had to do with it, or how much it was him on his own, but the adjustment in the second quarter when he was making everything, and they just started to rotate the defense out and double him like 40 feet from the rim, and he would just pull it out and be like, "All right, fine." Let me set up Russell Westbrook in the high post and then run the offense through him, and just on his own, just kind of change the offense and really got them going.
Yep. Like when people tell me like, "Oh, Harden's a selfish player," you don't watch him. You don't. Like you don't watch him. But to your point, like it was amazing, Adam. Like I watched almost every second possible of that game, and I did not realize he had 49 points until like the fourth quarter, like overtime when they're showing his box score. And I'm like, wait a minute, because to your point, like when he was getting doubled the whole time, it seemed like he was barely touching the ball. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And two, by the way, just the hardcore, like they're just like the basketball fun in general. Watch that game again. Watch Robert Covington. He's so good defensively, dude. Some of the help defense he was throwing out there, he got called for a foul. He straight up blocked Porzingis. He just stuffed him beautifully, and the ref still called it a foul. He is awesome defensively, man. Like this team's fun to watch. I don't think they're going to win the title, but Harden's fucking awesome, and that was a cool game. And the NBA's back, and I'm just really excited.
The audience last night, as people are describing it, TV audience, bonkers, monster numbers, double what a regular season game normally brings in. You know, you knew that things were going to be up, but how far up? I brought this up at the end of the show, and I want John to react to this. We've all been getting very triggered by people on social media, and as I pointed out to Adam, you got to be careful, you know, when you're kind of playing the game here and getting sucked in by Mr. Travis or Charlie Kirk. And John Middlecoff is really good at this. John did a show for a long time in the Bay Area. Raiders fans don't like him. Maybe we need to make him a regular again, right? But John has a gift for stirring the pot, and he sent out this tweet, and I think JVT is going to find this interesting. So John Middlecoff says, the NBA ratings is not new news. Okay, is he congratulating them on high ratings? But anyway, he says the masses haven't been watching for a couple of years. Personally, I still enjoy, but most of my sports watching friends aren't locked in and don't live on Twitter. So before we get to the rest of it, John, when you hear that, most of my sports watching friends aren't locked in and don't live on Twitter. What do you think when you hear someone say that? Do you go right to, well, maybe their demo and their circle is much different than your circle?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I really don't understand what he's trying to say with the first part of the tweet. Like, I'm a little confused by the English. I'm really trying hard to interpret the entire message. But no, I mean, I think I have felt this for a while. Like, if you're one of the people who speaks out, and like to your point, Steve, and says, I'm not watching the NBA, it's boring. It's like, it was never directed at you, and you were never part of it anyway, right? Like, you weren't watching the NBA. It doesn't matter. There's still a collective. And you brought this up what were you talking about? Oh, boycotting Major League Baseball. I think you guys were talking about this on the air. It's like, just because you say you're not watching doesn't mean there's massive amounts of people who are watching. You know, like just because you think it doesn't mean the world thinks it.
And the sport is dying. This is bad for business. What business? Not getting your business? Because it might be really good to get opposing side business. And listen, executives in sports are not stupid. If they thought something was going to kill their sport, they're not going to get woke. So by looking at the numbers, I think the NBA realizes, one, we want to be on the right side of history. Two, this matches our culture. Three, this is not going to destroy us in spite of the fact that certain dudes out there want to crap on basketball.
Really quickly, too, we all know this as well, right? There was the example. I don't know who the guy is. His last name Kirk? Like the guy who said 4 times over 7 years that he was going to stop watching the NBA. Like, we all know you're watching. Like, that's the other part of it. There's so many people who are
I disagree. I don't think he was ever watching.
Well, I mean, there's that aspect of it, right? Where
I think he never watched, and he just kept saying, "I'm done." Well, when did you start?
But I'm talking about
4 players,
right? But I'm talking about like Adam, like the guys who generally watch sports and say, "I'm not watching anymore." Like, yes, you are. Like, yes, you are. It's going to be one of those where you're like looking like this, or you're going to be at like Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's going to be on, and you're going to sit there and you're going to watch. Like, it's stupid.
My favorite on this, John, and like again, we've done this many, many times, but when like during the height of the anthem protests in football in like 2017, I guess it was, they weren't showing the anthem on TV, right?
Right.
They stopped showing it because it was angry people on both sides, whatever. It was getting into a debate. So they stopped showing the anthem. So what you would have is people look up on Twitter whether somebody took a knee or not, and then retroactively get mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he took a knee. I'm gonna watch. They're shoving it down my throat. No, they're not. You seeked it out. Like, you wouldn't have known that if somebody didn't tell you that they took a knee. So what are we even talking about?
Or the other examples Adam brings up when people are like, they're crapping on the military. They're dishonoring the flag. Hey, brother, they didn't kneel during the anthem.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Was it the Kapler situation or was it the Yankees-Nats? Like, they didn't kneel during the anthem. What are you talking about disrespecting the flag?
Yeah, they took a knee before the anthem.
Right.
Yeah, they took a knee of solidarity before the anthem and then stood for the anthem. And then people were still like, that's disrespectful. Is it? To who? The anthem wasn't playing. What are you talking about?
But let's stay on the because this guy's not really talking about the anthem. Let's stay on the I don't like the NBA for this reason, and this reason.
Right.
John Middlecoff has his second reason when he talks about other people. He says those fans left because of effort and load management, not politics. Most good businesses are consumer first. The NBA didn't even pretend to give a shit. The casual fan relationship got way out of whack. Media went all in on player side, made it worse in my opinion, but it ain't changing. First of all, and I didn't get to bring, expound on this on the air. The NBA doesn't give a shit about its fans. What league does? What league treats its fans the right way? And then back to the load management thing, and I'll tie it into what you were just talking about 5 minutes ago, John, about James Harden. If I were a Rockets fan and I see James Harden, scoring 38 points a game, but also playing 38 minutes a game, I'm fucking pissed. Because who said it earlier? And it's a good point. CJ Cards fan is like, oh, Harden's awesome unless it's game 7. Exactly. You know what you do? You manage his load. Why is he playing all the time? That sounded perverted, but he's proven that because of how much usage he gets, even with Westbrook, he tires when it counts the most. So James Harden should never play more than like 64 games in a regular season. But then you've got these guys who are either watching the NBA or outside the NBA, and they're like, James Harden's not playing. Right. That's the right strategy. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't want to hear about the rigors of the game in 73 and that Johnny Havlicek played every minute. Fuck Havlicek.
By the way, the answer to your question of what league cares about their fans, it's the leagues that don't have fans. That's the leagues that care.
Yeah.
The WNBA is pretty fan friendly because they need to be. Like, the leagues that don't need to be aren't because they don't need you.
So here's the thing that annoys me about load management.
Hold on. Before we get to that, someone wanted to answer what league cares about its fans.
Oh, really? Okay. That might be the most racist comment we've ever had in this chat, by the way.
Kent, come on, Kent. VGK, we love him. We're rooting for him. But, Kent, VGK has treated its fans well since the first season? Have they?
Right.
Come on, Kent. The prices have gone up every year. Come on, Kent. Stop.
They have
the PGA Tour as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You know what? The lacrosse league, they're pretty solid.
Sorry, John. I exploded there. Go ahead. You were backing up
it's so true.
management, all that stuff.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, what I find funny about this, and I'll ask this question, maybe this is one of those experiments where I could be just completely wrong. But in the chat, and both of you, like, when you think of load management, give me a player who load manages. Like, tell me one, when you hear the term load management. Right. Kawhi, who was ruled and diagnosed with a degenerative knee issue, who literally has an injury and can't, like, and this is why he can't play in those certain games, right? And Steve brought up James Harden. I'm going to read off the games played for James Harden since 2014, 2015, 81, 82, 81, 72, 78, and 61 this season in a shortened basketball season. And LeBron, right? LeBron has played in every game this year except for one, maybe two. Did he miss it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, by the way, the year he went to Los Angeles, the first year, he was coming off of his final year in Cleveland, in which he had played all 82 games for like the first time in forever. He was freaking great. And so, like, when we talk about load management, like, who's load managing, right? Like, okay, like, I don't really understand. It's not that rampant. Paul, if you want to bring up Paul George, if I remember correctly, was at the start of the season. Oh, and by the way, is coming off of 2 shoulder surgeries on both shoulders. So, like, what are we talking about when we're talking about load management? Because it's not as rampant, I think, as people realize. Like, yes,
well, the Spurs were doing it a lot. Yeah,
right. I was going to say, Pop was popularizing it. And I think what happens is Popovich used to do it all the time. And I think it would probably be a middle finger to the league was it happens on national games. And so it's right. It's like this one time when there's a lot of eyes on it. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, like player A isn't playing. Like Kawhi missed a lot of primetime games this year. But he, for the most part, like he was playing a good chunk of the season because of an injury he suffered. And I think that's the problem. I don't think it's as rampant as we think. It's just a lot of high leverage spots in the regular season where you're like, oh yeah, like he's not playing. That's ridiculous.
But the best part of it, John, the best part of it is it worked. Like they kept Kawhi healthy to the point where they actually won a title. Right. Like, how are you angry or disagreeing with this? It worked.
No, and like here's the other thing that irritates me too about load management. They don't load manage in the playoffs. Okay? How many of you are watching all 82 regular season games? Like, John. That's the other part, right? But like, that's the part of that bugs me too, because it's like load management. They don't care about your fans. You weren't watching 70 of 82 games, man. Like, you're probably checking in for like 30. You know what I mean? He's playing a majority of the season. Just because you don't pay attention to the entire year doesn't mean, right, that this load management thing's an issue. Pay attention more. That's on you.
Sorry, I do have to react to, as a connoisseur of certain things, I do have to react to Kevin Bitter was throwing in some good comments. I'm just going to say, I get the joke on load management, but this is a good example. Peter North, right? If the producers, right? So Peter North's a guy he just drenches chicks with like buckets of cum. If he couldn't do that 7 days a week, you know what they would do with him? If that's his calling card, he's down to 2 porns a week. They want to make sure that the bucket theme keeps going. That's what wins for you. So I know it's a little harsh, but it's a sneaky good comparison, and I may sneak it into the terrestrial show, and no one will understand what I'm talking about. But you know,
I don't get it.
Load management works for Kawhi. It works for Harden, and you know, from rumors I hear, it worked for Peter North.
The loads were great.
You got to be careful about when it really counts. You got to be able to bring it. Come on now.
Didn't even need a fluffer.
And I'm sorry, Ken. I didn't mean to yell at you, but Kent was also saying, where is it? I'm missing it now. Kent was also saying that VGK does a lot for the community. They do, but that John Middlecoff, who made the comment about the NBA doesn't care about its fans, John was not commenting on, I don't believe, what they do in the community. He's talking about how the fans are treated and that they get cheated in certain spots when they go to the games, or you turn on the games and the star players aren't there. And I know it's not easy to deal with. It's not. But it's now become a strategy, and you know, we can all beat our chest as old people and say, hey, Harden should play 82 games, but there are certain guys who've shown they don't have stamina when it counts the most. Back to Peter North, I guess, right?
Nice.
So I like now Kevin's apologizing. You don't have to apologize. JVT's apologizing. Like, I took over the show. I'm like, John, it was good. It was all good stuff. What else did I have on the NBA tonight? Because there's something else.
I'm curious, how much did you guys watch? Were you guys just excited to watch? I know you guys don't watch a ton of NBA, but did you watch a majority of the games because sports are back and all that shit?
I watched Rockets Mavs.
Okay.
Only because there was no late MLS game.
Yeah.
I didn't.
That shit?
Huh?
You're watching that shit?
The battle in the studio.
Yeah, here's the problem. You know, when I watch the most NBA, when I'm doing the show in studio and the TV keeps changing, every time I look up for a score, it's changed. And then you guys know tonight I've got another Cofield Cinema selection, but we'll get to that. I got sidetracked. I watched the entire series.
But really quickly, I enjoy soccer, right? The sports soccer is great. I watched one MLS game. It was awful, the level of play. Like, I can't do that.
Which game?
It was one of the play. I don't know where they're at this point, but it was one of the play-in games, like one of the group stage games. And I know it was San Jose. And one of the goals that San Jose scored, the goaltender tried to clear it out to the right side, but it was like some pathetic tap to a dude who was like 20 yards away. And San Jose just like runs through and steals it and then just scores a goal. Like it was the most pathetic clear attempt. There's backline guys just kind of jogging to the ball.
Was it to tie the game?
Level.
Was it to tie the game at 1 in like the 80th minute?
No, it was like a high scoring game. I think they tied it up like 2-2. At that point, and it was one of the games that they had scored like a barrage of goals in like the last 15 minutes. I think they scored like 4 of their goals in the last 15 minutes.
John, there was almost the exact same goal the other day. I had a 1-0 lead. I was laying a half. Had a 1-0 lead in the 80th minute, and the team had not threatened to even. They had no shots on goal the whole game. The goalie just kind of casually walked over to kind of kick it away, and he kicked it. He just kicked it to himself, and it trickled away, and the guy just walked up and kicked it in the net, and that was the only goal they scored. I was livid, livid.
Like that, look, I'm not a soccer snob, but like there's such a difference between like European soccer, even Mexican league soccer, like German league soccer, than watching the MLS. But it does. I will say this, and you can speak to this, Adam. You watch more than I do. It does speak to. Like, there's a lot more entertaining endings. Like, I watched a KC Sporting game in which they won 2-1. They scored both in extra time. Like, it was ridiculous.
By the way, tomorrow, Chelsea Arsenal at 9:30 for the FA Cup is going to be freaking awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
That's right up your alley.
Kent, I agree. Good job, Kent. That's a good comment, buddy. Kevin, that's a good comment. MLS is brutal.
If it weren't for gambling, no one would care. Yeah, read the second part, Steve. Let's go.
Yeah, betting on it.
All right, sorry, I'll stop.
Sorry. We have to make an adjustment on the show. At least I do. CJ Cards fan brings up a point. How about that Mets bullpen tonight?
Oh my god!
I'm like I have no idea. I forgot sports are back. I have to start watching sports before the show. This was never a recap the night in sports. I guess now it could be like a post game show. Okay, I'm just going to do this exercise on camera.
They were up 8-2 in the 5th inning, by the way.
Mets allow 5 in the 8th against Atlanta. I'm scrolling down the box. Don't be Edwin Diaz. Don't be Edwin Diaz. Don't be Edwin Diaz. Okay, it's not. I'm not even a Mets fan, but I feel bad for that guy. Like, I don't know what it is. I think he's been spooked by New York. He sucks.
You really think it's that?
What is it?
I don't know. I feel like we're always like, oh, New York, it's so scary. Like, it's just another fucking city.
I didn't say that everyone gets spooked, but certain guys do, and they can't get out of the freaking hole. Now, Betances has been in New York, and it didn't matter. He sucked, and he's on the Mets now. He was the guy who was terrible tonight. So.
It is a weird drop off. Obviously, like we were talking about, like potentially getting like Cy Young votes and like
so
that
dumb.
year before. Yeah, it was insane.
Sucks. And what irks me, it's not that New York is tough. It's that the fans there are such assholes. Like, I remember being there as a Yankee fan, and like it gets so combustible that like you don't want to start saying that a member of the Yankees sucks, and then you start getting mad at everyone else, and you're like, just okay, stop. All right, it's not helping. So I remember, like, I have memories of that where it's like, just slow down, because the Yankees had a couple of those guys going way back. Steve Trout was unbelievable. He came to town. He was a decent pitcher. Like, could not throw the ball over the plate. And God damn it, I'm blanking on the guy who was came over from the Braves. Was a really good pitcher, and he got to New York, and he just sucked.
But won't this year be a good test because there's no fans or media?
Yeah, I guess it's definitely not. It's definitely not the people in the crowd.
That's a good point.
They can't be getting jacked up by that.
He becomes super dominant again, Adam. Just throwing guys.
Yeah.
All right, last moment I may get testy, and I think you guys will go testy. One more time on the kneeling thing.
Oh, I'm ready.
One more time, and this is a story that John sent over. Man, Oklahoma lawmaker threatens tax penalties for Thunder if players kneel during the anthem. I'm going to throw this out again because I don't know if John was on when I made the suggestion. I really believe if the NBA, has a certain culture that it wants to have repped in these cities. Listen, there are differences of opinion, but when a local lawmaker is trying to get some attention and he's going to come up with some fine violating your First Amendment right, I'm going to say it like I said with the T-Wolves. I suggested 10 days ago that depending on how the trial around the murder of George Floyd turns out, if I'm the NBA, and it doesn't turn out the right way and there's no justice served, then I'm fine with the team being sold and moving from Minneapolis. Take them out. And I'm even more fine in this case. If Oklahoma wants to do this, take the Thunder. We'll take them. We'll take the Thunder. Right. T-Wolves can go to Seattle.
I have a better idea.
You're either on the right side of history or go screw yourself. You don't have to have one of our franchises. This is our culture. If you don't like it, then we'll move. Oklahoma City sucks as a market anyway.
It does.
If they're passionate, Steve. They love their team.
Can the Thunder move to the Chaz?
Yeah,
back into Seattle. They're playing the Chaz. It'll be perfect. This guy would be so angry.
A fine for kneeling.
The Seattle Antifa.
I just my thing too.
It's just some guy or gal trying to shine a light on themselves. Shut up.
So my two takeaways were, one, somehow this is a threat to the nuclear family, which I thought was hilarious, which was part of his quote when he talked about Black Lives Matter group and its goal of defunding our nation's police ties to Marxism. Odds that people know what Marxism actually is, because that's the other thing too. Like, that's a term thrown out a lot, and I don't think people really even know what it means.
It's a new talking point,
right? I'll be honest, to be forthright, I don't know what Marxism is. I tried to look it up the other day because I just kept reading it over and over again, and I got lost in the wormhole. And after like an hour of reading, I'm like, I still don't know what this is. So I don't know if people really understand what Marxism is, but it does sound good. I will say that. It does sound dangerous. Sometimes when people threw it out at the beginning, I was really thinking about this.
Everyone got silent. All right.
Yeah,
that was it.
I mean, I finished my point, so that's on YouTube.
No one's willing to get all worked up over this because we know what it is.
Well, yeah, it was stupid.
we're finally taking Steve's advice and not like submitting to the trolls and giving them their fuel.
By the way, it would be good if the Thunder were like, guys, we can't do it. Everybody stand up. This is crazy.
They're going to ruin our tax breaks.
Yeah.
Last couple things tonight. John, what's going on with the totals in the NBA?
Oh, dude. So the first day, both games dead under. It was nuts. Right. But the market was betting them over. That was the crazy part about it. Like, the Jazz game opened up 218.5, got closed at 229. That was crazy. The Lakers game opened 217, got to 215, and then closed 220. And that one went well under the total. And they look kind of sloppy. But it's funny. I was on with Mitch and Paul. God, I needed the break. So, I was finally on Follow the Money. And we were talking about the fact that, if you looked at those first two games, right, all four of those teams, both Los Angeles teams, New Orleans and Utah, rank in the bottom half of the league in terms of turnovers. So I was talking to them and I was like, well, part of it could be sloppy play and rust, but we also have to realize that these four teams, right, are some of the worst teams in terms of turnovers in the NBA. And so that's maybe part of what we saw. And I think that was because I think every single game went over the total today, if I remember correctly. And there might have been one that didn't go over, but all of these games are flying over the total. And the shooting is on, like Dallas and Houston, the game we were talking about. At one point, Dallas was shooting 60% well into the second quarter. Like, there doesn't seem to be the rust that I think a lot of people expected initially. And I was surprised because the market has been like, fuck it, like, just betting these things over, man. It's nuts.
Is there a way to know? I guess it doesn't matter if all the games are going over both. Like, is there a way to know which gym the games are going to be played in before the game?
I don't know. I have to look that up. I would assume there is. I would assume they were being reported, like maybe local media or something. I think that information would be available.
Because I know it's weird. The Sun Belt tournament used to be like one arena, two gyms.
Yeah.
And one of the gyms was always over and one was always under. But it was like hard to figure out. It was
sight
like
lines or whatever.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out like which floor the games were going to be played at before the game started.
Dude, so we're live now. This happens every night at like 1 a.m. So this guy's out early. This dude always pulls out from the neighborhood behind my apartment complex, does 3 donuts in the middle of Russell, and then like drives away. And it's every night at like 1 a.m. and he did it a little early today.
So if you know that it happens, why don't you go get a spike strip?
Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, why not?
Justin question.
Yes, Justin.
Well, we have police connections. You go in a police shop and say we can get you a spike strip, or fuck that, just go online and order it.
You feel like I might get some? Yeah, maybe I should get ready for it. That'd be good.
The revolution! The Marxists are fighting back.
John Von Antifa.
Right. I feel like that guy's the threat to the nuclear family.
Steve, are you more mad that TikTok is being banned tomorrow, or that I'm such an I'm such an amazing chef on my first try? Which one makes you?
Do you have a picture?
I emailed you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna skip TikTok tonight because we're getting political, and I'm like, it's no conflict Friday, even on this.
It's gonna end tomorrow, though. It's like it's going away that quickly.
Yes, I'm livid because I again, people are brainwashed. So I see like a bunch of people are backing the banning of TikTok, and like folks are firing back at them like, "Oh, you're worried about the Chinese stealing our information?" Like, what do you think Facebook does? What do you think Instagram potentially can do?
But don't they already have it? Like isn't the point though? Don't they already have it?
And then people, like literally people get in a conversation. They're like, "Well, that's an American company." That makes it fucking worse. Be more angry. Mark Zuckerberg is worse than any Chinese guy or gal. That talk about being screw Mark Zuckerberg.
But I mean, isn't he only banning TikTok because of Sarah Cooper?
Explain this to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. Sarah Cooper is she's the female comedian that she takes like Trump speeches.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And she's she's the biggest thing on TikTok.
Right. Sorry, I didn't forget her name. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's just like, all right, if TikTok is doing these impressions of me, they're out.
Dude, she's brilliant. That's great.
She's so good.
And I feel like people, because I've seen some of the hate, I don't think people realize how hard that is. Like she's got that's so freaking hard to not only memorize with your lip sync, but the actions and to put, like, there was one video I was watching in the middle of her impression, she like winked at the camera. And I just thought the gymnastics my brain would have to do to keep up with the lip sync on top of like acting with it. Like it's incredible.
Because it's not like if you're lip syncing a song, like you've heard the song a lot of times, and I'm sure she listens to speech a lot of times too, but like there's a rhythm to a song, right? There's not that same rhythm to a Trump speech. It's so choppy, like to have the exact timing of the pauses and everything else is incredible.
Yep.
But yeah, I really think he's only banning it because of her. I don't think he cares about the Chinese harvesting our information.
Ridiculous. I mean, people
I willingly give my info up. I'm down with it. It's cool.
It's not. There's not a willingness. It's already being done. Google's an American company. They're robbing us blind of our information. As Andrew says, glad we're not worried about the Russians. The Russians are completely juiced in via Zuckerberg. It's been happening forever. Now, obviously, my motivation is that I just love TikTok because I want to learn how to cook steak and better eggs.
That's it.
And here's the other thing. Honestly, there is a general distrust of like maybe the Chinese and TikTok are just that much more, villainous than all of these other apps. First of all, give us the information. Secondly, I don't trust you. That's the problem, is that the seeds of doubt, mistrust, distrust, they're out there because everything seems to be, some sort of political motivation. So like, you're going to take away the joy in my life in TikTok for what reason? And as Kevin Bitter says, laughing, about TikTok, it's like, I hate TikTok, but feel free to tweet from your Chinese-made iPhone. like everyone is here. They've infiltrated. Come on.
How intimate do you think it is? Like when I'm watching, like, do you think they're like, this guy watches a lot of like NBA highlights and then he goes to like video game YouTube channels? What is this nerd doing? You know what I mean? Like, are they that intimate? Like, do they watch me that much?
I got
he
freaked.
He really
today.
likes lo-fi hip hop beats to chill and study to.
Yeah, I got freaked today. I swear I haven't searched. I don't even know what the item was, but I haven't searched for the item. It was some new thing I was going to buy online.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it, and I looked up on YouTube as I was like rolling in a video, and I'm like, wait, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, how'd they do that? But maybe I had searched for it in the past. But like, that's the crazy thing.
Well, how much did you talk to Debbie about it?
Because that's the thing. That always.
Oh yeah, it hears you. It hears you. That's for sure.
Could it be through her phone? I'm not even sure that we put that goddamn Alexa outside. So and it's off. But it's probably on, and it has like super sensory hearing that can go through windows and walls.
By the way, so what I have done in my home, this is one of the more brilliant things I have done. It's lost its impact, but it was a great impact at first. I have randomly scheduled my Alexa to without any prompt whatsoever to say I am only loyal to Isabel, and it's just randomly throughout. And the first time I did it to my wife, she hates it because she's with you, Steve. She's like, they're always listening to us, and to randomly hear I am only loyal to Isabel, like just pop up every once in a while, like in the middle of the night. First time it was good.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it's great.
By the way, it's the old UNLV logo with the gun that's not allowed anymore. Probably none of them. Somebody asked what the logo was.
What did that one guy say that night? Does that make Tupac racist?
Yeah.
He used to wear it.
So dumb.
All right. So your question was, am I more angry about TikTok or that you may actually be a chef and
that I'm such a good chef? That's the question.
Oh boy.
Never had made a steak before ever, and it's not good. But I feel like first time out. Oh boy.
First thing is, and we have to get to the kitten conversation. First thing is, you should always put your pictures past John, and make sure John has graded them as acceptable or not, because John has a good idea of at least how to photograph food. Because I'm usually nervous about it. Oh wow! Look at this.
What's up? Look at he woke
I'm
up.
all thrown off. Very vocal.
Yeah.
You know how old?
9 weeks. It's my
Nice.
homie already. This is Figaro, dude.
Pretty good. Really vocal. I love it.
All right, go.
Is he always, or just because you're holding him up to a microphone that he's screaming?
No, he's pretty vocal. He's a playful cat, man. Like I am the trustworthy one because I'm the one that's been feeding him and like whatnot. So I'm the only one he trusts at this point. We're homies already. Right, bro?
Any other issues so far? You're all good?
Who, me? Cat-wise?
With Figaro.
So, yeah, he pooped in the room early this morning, like 2 a.m. But then he found his litter box, and it's been smooth sailing ever since.
Yeah, they get it pretty quick. They get it pretty quick.
Yep. So now he just lounges around, and now he's just sitting there staring at me. This is it. I kind of hope this is what having a child would be like. Didn't have to do much.
Dude, it's a dream. It's a dream. All right. Wow. First of all, tell people what you cooked and how you cooked it. I punched the picture up on my
steak?
second.
Yeah. So it was my first ever steak that I've ever cooked. Actually, like the first thing I've ever cooked, I think. It's a sirloin, and I cooked it in the air fryer because it's the only thing I know how to cook with now. That I got literally 2 days ago.
John, what do you think? Air fryer for steak. I told him it's not the best way to do it.
Well,
and I love my air fryer.
I've never used an air fryer, and I don't know how they work, so I wouldn't be able to tell you the quality of cooking.
Okay. Naked City Chris, who is a trained chef, executive chef on the Strip before he went down the pizza route.
Figaro.
What did he say?
It's just meowing. Yeah, you can hear the
I know. Adam, what did Chris say about the air fryer?
Well, he said it's a convection oven. I don't know.
Yeah, I knew that.
He was definitely saying it's not real cooking.
Garlic butter chicken?
It was garlic. No, I made garlic butter sirloin.
Why did I say chicken? I'm sorry. Garlic butter sirloin. Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you have with it?
Mushrooms.
What's on the mushrooms? Is it quinoa or is it just sesame seeds?
Some garlic and.
Am I gonna see a picture of this or what?
He's got it.
He just doesn't want to show it.
It's popping up.
That looks disgusting.
What are you talking about? It was delicious.
You gotta run the pictures by it first.
It was
What
delicious.
is that? I'm sure it tasted fine, but like, what are we doing?
You have two.
There's no
pictures.
sear. It looks gray. What are we doing?
Oh, that's the best part. No sear. Just it's air fried.
I don't know. I don't know about that, dude. I don't know about that.
It was delicious.
Are you lying? Was it good?
No, it was
Well,
actually good.
It looks tough. It looks like medium well.
It
Are
was
you
good.
sure?
No, it was definitely good.
It does have that Guatemala like grayness to it.
Right. Like you gotta
It's mushrooms.
What's that green shit on the left?
Mushrooms. What are you
look at
talking
them all.
about?
They're all coming in.
I like garlic. But Razorback Scoop says that's a lot of
Let's go.
garlic. Okay, Kent, even though I yelled at him earlier, Kent, you're a nice man.
Oh, great.
I said,
Kent is on your side.
Kent says I think the picture is impressive for first try. I agree with him. Left Coast Mike actually is onto something here. John, you're too old for.
No, I'm not. I know it. I know what they are.
Did you have TV dinners?
Oh yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Left Coast Mike says it looks like, is that a TV dinner?
I might make another one tomorrow. I liked it.
Dude,
It was
TV dinners were
enjoyable.
the shit. The little brownie in the middle, those were fucking awesome.
CJ Cards fan says, is that what they're serving in the NBA bubble?
They would be lucky to have that.
I agree with Kent on this one. The garlic is not an issue. You can never have too much garlic. Garlic's awesome.
I think it's not.
you sure
It's
about that?
mushrooms.
By the way, that was the good picture, I think.
There was another one. You can show
Where's the other one?
Let me find it here.
I like my steak seared.
Dude, I think you got to stick. What
What's
is that? What's
I'm
that?
scared.
Yeah, I don't think you want to show the second picture, man.
Oh, you gotta see this now.
Because it's so not seared. It's like, oh God, I'll just do it. Hey, you
I
know
don't
what?
want to sear. I don't like the sear.
Oh, stop! You got to put a little
Cook-
sear on. Put a little
Evenly
color on.
cooked.
on it.
Evenly cooked all the way through in the front.
Yeah. Here's the
See
top.
it.
Here's the top view, John.
Oh man,
So
that's
good.
worse. It looks
It's
like
so good.
dude. It looks like liver. Looks
No,
like
it's
eating
so
liver
good.
and onions. It looks
was
like you're eating
delicious.
liver and onions.
Adam, don't get offended. This is going to make you better. It's going to make you better. Let me zoom in on that. Oh, look at that. Yummy.
Yeah.
When Justin destroyed me last week, it finally set me straight.
Oh,
What did
I'm happy
Justin
with
think
it.
about this picture?
We didn't show it to him yet. He'll annihilate this.
We've had that it's overcooked and is it cooked? How could it be both overcooked and not cooked? Doesn't even make sense.
It can look raw on the outside and then be overdone on the inside.
Okay, I will say this: I cook for taste, and it was delicious. I don't really care what it looks like.
Mr. Tiger Gator looks like dog food. He's got the expectant picture of vomiting and then the official vomit all over himself.
I was pleased.
Hey, I will say I've cooked some gross looking stuff that tasted delicious. So I
do
know
it all.
looks aren't everything, but if we're going for like the pristine look of a steak, you got some work to do.
No, I was going for wanting to have dinner and wanting to actually do it. I pulled it off. I feel like
Like liver and onions.
I think you're on your way.
the air fryer is a game changer.
No.
That's
Dude,
for sure.
Adam, I'll say this. I think what you should do, this is really easy. And I'm not an expert, right? But this is, if you want to do the air fryer, I think the easiest thing to do with that steak is to, you should throw some oil in a pan, like a hot pan, and just take each side of the steak, do it for like a minute or two, and do it in the pan. And then that's how you get a little bit of crust and color. And then you throw it in at whatever temperature you cooked it on in the air fryer. That's it.
Yeah, I just
not
don't
like-
care about the aesthetics, though.
But it tastes good too, though, bro. Like this sounds
Nah,
good,
it could not
Get
have
a
gotten
little-
any better.
dude.
By the way, it didn't look like there was any seasoning on it. Did you put
That was
any?
the other thing. Did you put anything
Oh,
on
dude!
steak?
So I pre-seasoned it with salt and pepper, as we're supposed to do according to Justin. And
Okay.
then afterwards, I made like a little sauce thing of butter and garlic and some other seasoning in there.
I like
Alright.
to
And then poured it over it.
I like to put a couple fresh twigs of rosemary in there with some butter.
This
And you
is-
just start to
I,
throw it on top of the steak as you're searing it. It's pretty good.
I don't understand how you didn't get any like crust on it in the air fryer. Did you cook it too low? Because I
No,
can
Actually,
if
too
you-
high, I think.
If you cook chicken in the air fryer, you can get a good crust on it.
I think it was actually maybe too high. Like it wants you to do 360, but as I said earlier, like I get terrified about cooking things, so that's why I overcook them. I'd actually rather have taste of closer to like medium rare, but I'm so scared about food that I always overcook. Or not, I don't over. Sorry, that's the first thing I've ever cooked. I always over order the temperature because I'm scared about raw food. So yeah, I think it was definitely cooked long enough. It said 360. I did it 400.
I think it's a good start. I think it's a good start, especially since you never ever cook.
No, first thing.
Dude.
I've made pasta before.
You know what? That counts. That counts.
Okay.
I had to what's it called? The other day I tried it. I seared a chicken thigh, so lemon pepper. Man, that shit was good too.
What was it again? Lemon pepper and what?
Chicken thighs. Chicken thighs seasoned with lemon pepper, but I seared them skin side and then cooked them the rest of the way in the oven. That was really good. That was the first time I tried that.
Ken says you're yuppie scum. Left Coast Mike, afraid of overcooking. You aced that one there.
Well, then somebody else said it wasn't cooked at all.
Ken also admits he's already thrown down 3 bourbons. He's thrown down 3 bourbons. Okay, keep going, dude. Keep going.
Friday night.
That's what
Mike was saying. All about. That's what the show's all about.
But that's what Mike was saying, Adam, is that you said he's like, oh, you were scared of overcooking. Like, trust me, you didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I will always I will always overcook. No question about that.
I like the best thing I ever heard. I like my steaks rare, so rare that a good vet could still save its life if he really tried.
That is good. And I tell you what, talking about meat with Ari, my God, it's terrifying.
Does he not eat meat?
He eats it. Everything has to be well. He's afraid of
Oh, come on.
everything is undercooked. Good for him. He's skinny, but man, maybe that's has that guy enjoyed food over his 35 years?
I'll give you generic burgers.
Bro.
You can eat generic burgers well done, but that's about it, man. Well, and chicken. Obviously, you'd like chicken done.
Yeah, you have to cook chicken.
But red meat, if you're having a steak or anything like that, you can't do it well done.
Let's close last 5 minutes with any thoughts on the new lineup on Raider Nation Radio 920 or Clay and Ed being broken up. Jared and Tyler are now with Ed. Pritch and Clay is on. They're on R&R 920, so they're competing against each other. Any thoughts?
I mean, I'll start with that. Outside of the Raiders thing, because the Raiders thing is obviously very cool for Lotus and Las Vegas. I'm very interested to see what Tyler does for 3 hours. To go from 1 hour to 3 hours and then to pair it up with Ed. I personally think the personalities might clash. Not clash in a negative way, but I wonder how Tyler's sarcasm flies over with Ed after Ed worked with one of the nicest people on the air in Clay. You know what I mean? The last however long were they on together? A couple years, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I'm curious. The dynamic between Tyler and Ed and how that spans over 3 hours. How's Jared holding up for 3 hours too, by the way?
I think Jared's gonna be great. I just would like to I want to see how Jared's holding up for waking up in the morning.
Right.
At 4 a.m. You're usually awake at that time tweeting.
I feel like there'd be an instance where Ed would be like, this lunatic, and Tyler would be like, Ed, they're not lunatics. And that.
Big Ed fan there, and Kevin Bitter, he doesn't have to do shit if Ed's there. Just sit back and listen. All right. No, I think that's a compliment. I don't think he's ripping on Ed.
It's true.
Am I wrong by that? I don't mean to sound insulting if I am. I'm very curious about that dynamic.
No, there's legit. Yeah. There's always legit questions about chemistry between people.
I think they both have those questions.
Yeah. Well, because it kind of feels like, right, because Tyler and Jared are joining Ed. So it's more of a new situation for Ed than it is for Tyler, right?
2-on-1. Who wins the battle?
I don't know if it was a battle. I just chemistry wise, I feel like Tyler would rely on the back and forth with Jared. And I don't know. I know this is inside stuff, but I think it'd be interesting to see how that all fits together. That's what I'm interested in.
This freaked me out a little bit today when I saw this tweet from Jared. Genuinely waking up almost every morning and working. Well, almost. He's mocking on not waking up. And working with Tyler was the only thing I was always happy about. Now we are okay. So the first part's a little distressing. You're like, wait, the radio show and your relationship with Tyler is the only thing you're happy about. Then the YouTube link is Rick Astley Together Forever, which I like Rick Astley, but I'm not going to play Rick Astley for this audience. Together.
I think we should play it. We should play it. It's a good song.
I've never heard it. I've only heard one Rick Astley song.
The Rick Roll one?
Yeah.
Never Gonna Give You Up?
Let me work
this
on it.
This sounds good too. This is actually the reason, John, that I get angry when people say Rick Astley's a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
He's definitely a 2-hit wonder.
He's not a 2-hit wonder either, but he's actually really good in concert. He can still sing too. So
He's also
Wait, what?
he's a multi-hit wonder. We can agree on that.
I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say 2. I don't think there's a third hit out there. But
Sorry.
I guess Steve's much deeper in the Rick Astley catalog than we are.
hold on, we got to get through the sponsor.
I was like, is this it? That sounds very modern.
Yeah, it's a good beat.
Would you ever say that about a co-host though, that you're together forever, and then back it up with this song?
Jared's just creepy in every way, like in a good way and bad ways.
Good intro.
It doesn't really do it justice unless I punch it up.
Move heaven and earth to be together forever with you.
Okay. Wow, that's a good look.
All you have to do is say, don't you satisfy everything in me? You shouldn't waste a single day.
You got to get to the chorus.
Stop before then, it's destiny calling. The power I just can't deny. It's
Look
never
at that call.
to hear me, I'm saying I want
Very
you
romantic.
for the rest of my life.
Eyebrow raise.
Together forever and never to part. Together forever we two. And don't you know I would move heaven and earth to be together.
I mean, the lyrics. I'll move heaven and earth to be together with you. All right. Okay.
John, do you like it more or less than the other hit?
Well, Les, come on. That's one of the best songs of all time.
What, the
Go
Rick
down
roll?
in yeah.
It's not.
Why do we call it the Rick roll? It's got a name. I don't know that name, but it's got a name.
It's never going to give you up.
Oh, okay.
I'll go.
A lot of
I'll
songs about being like creepily together forever.
Oh, of course.
Never going to give you up together.
Actually, that's a
forever.
good point. He's like
I'll go-
standing outside, just like, Rick, leave me alone.
I'll go cheesier, and I'll punch this up. I actually, I think I played this jokingly back in 2004 when Sports Pig and I started doing a show together again. And the reason I love this song is they won't really say what was like fucked up about their relationship, but they're together again. This is Peaches and Herb.
Oh boy, reunited.
Reunited? Yeah.
United.
Which really is not a sports radio song either. Let's do it. Let's go, belt it out. Let's get to it.
This sucks.
Leave your side.
A little too cheesy for sports radio, huh?
Minus you is such a lonely ride. The breakup we had
Who had a side piece?
just made me
Herb or Peaches?
Who got in the entanglement?
I really love you 'cause I want you back.
Yeah.
I spent
She is a piece of ass, though, I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
come
Was
on.
it?
Where's
70
the chorus?
Oh,
Wasn't Herb isn't Herb the lead singer though? Like why is his name second?
'Cause we understood there's one perfect thing, and sugar, this
Yeah.
one is it.
I think they were united because, I don't know, like they'd make a lot of money?
yes.
Wait, is this the guy from Love Boat?
No. No.
It looks
What
like
was it?
Isaac.
Isaac?
Yeah. He looks like Isaac.
Serving up drinks with roofies in it.
It's like, is it Meatloaf? That he would do anything but love, but he wouldn't do that, and we never find out what that is?
Never
Did
found
we
out.
ever care?
Oh, yeah.
I generally,
That song.
he'd be willing to do anything, Adam, but one thing. What is the one thing that Meatloaf wouldn't do for love? Because there's only one.
She
That
wanted
song
to peg. She wanted to peg. She wanted to peg.
Right? Like think about theoretically all the fucked up stuff that is under that umbrella. Like there's one thing he won't do, He'll do anything, but there's one thing he won't do, and I wonder what that is.
We'll leave that
cannibalism.
question of the weekend. Cannibalism.
Yeah.
All right, that'll wrap it for the week. We appreciate you guys sticking around. Boy, do we! I think we hold John. We got another person on our hit list scheduled next week. Ari, he's very, very motivated.
Oh,
Very
really?
motivated.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big one. So we'll just leave it for next week.
It's really.
I was getting nervous tonight.
Well, because it was awesome to like have this person on the list, but now that we're getting them, I'm like, what are we really going to talk about?
Oh, I got plenty.
Okay.
I did like my whole Chris Farley bit in front of the SO.
You're giving it away. Don't give it away.
No. Chris Farley on SNL when he did the whole bit with the talk show with Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
so Adam gave it away.
Yeah.
Maybe.
just remember when you did this? And that was it. Or that was cool.
John, did you figure it out from that clue?
I have a guess.
Okay. All right.
My
I thought
foot's-
Steve was going to do the "What is your guess?" and then cut off the broadcast right when you were starting to make a guess.
My foot's being assaulted right now.
Oh, you're getting it.
Figaro?
Yeah. Dude, those claws are sharp. He messed up Isabel's hand the first time we got him. She's got like a big old gash right here in between her thumb and her finger, and then another one like right down there.
A lot of good guesses on the text line.
Not of the guest.
No.
What if it's something simple? Like drink Coke instead of Pepsi?
Do the dishes. Do the dishes. We'll do it.